It's already time for our March Plan with Me. Join me in doing this orange blossom theme. We'll create a fun weekly layout, a beautiful calendar, and so much more. Hello, my friends. What's up? Welcome back. My name is Shayda, and we are doing our March Plan with Me. Crazy, it's almost March. If you are interested in getting into bullet journaling, it's never too late. I have a very lengthy 2021 setup video, so check that out. I'll put it in the description. For February, we did this really fun floral hot air balloon, and I saw so many great recreations of this on social media, both in color and black and white. And yeah, I was just really pleased with the February spread. I did this ready for baby master list that you could easily change to spring cleaning. We did a minimal floral layout that was really achievable as the month progressed. I mean, I am filming this quite early. February is such a short month, so you'll notice there's still 2 weeks in February that I have yet to set up and use, but of course I will be doing that. And let's talk about our March cover page. Okay, so I'm finally giving you some color for the monthly cover page. We're going to stick with a Dutch door and create this orange blossom theme. So just mark 8 squares in on 2 pages. And then I'm going to draw a circle sort of right in the center of the page, maybe a little bit towards the top. We'll block that out. I'm marking in where my calendar will be. So I'm basically just giving myself a general guide. Where am I going to put the month title? And then here's what we're going to do. I've printed a lowercase m just on the computer, put a bit of graphite from my pencil on the back. We'll use washi tape to tape that in. And then I decided mine was a little too big. So, print a couple, get the size right. You don't want it too huge within that circle. When you have pencil on the back of it, it's really easy to take a nice sharp pencil and trace it. And that gives you this transfer of a letter that's really perfect. And well, it doesn't need to be perfect, but it's probably a little bit better than I could do hand drawn, which is nice. And then what we're going to do is just sketch in some simple oranges, orange blossoms, and leaves. You can draw right over the M if it helps you. I'm kind of tucking things in behind. I mean, if you draw over it, you can always erase later. That's what I'm saying. But, do a couple circles. Those are your oranges, maybe group 2 of them. And then you can start adding little flowers. I'm basically doing this really simple 5-petal flower with a dotted stamen. That's my orange blossom. And then you can see I'm just tucking leaves in wherever I think one would look good. And I'm also adding some smaller leaves in there for a bit of size contrast. I didn't get the design perfect on the first go, do it in pencil, erase, see what looks good for you. I think in the end I did 4 or 5 oranges with lots and lots of leaves. 4 oranges, there we go. And then I just finished my design by adding a few leaves on the outer edge of that circle. Okay, let's talk color palette. Yeah, I'm finally doing some color. I know you love color. I love black and white. I'm compromising. No, actually, I think this design is much better in color, so sometimes the design just calls for it. I have a number of different greens here, my Tombow brush pens. The 2 are kind of minty and the other 2 are a bit warmer. I've got a sort of ivory, beige, a gray, of course, and then you'll notice I have that one Faber-Castell marker, and that is a color called cinnamon, and it's a really nice peachy orange. I started by laying out little highlights using the kind of pinky color, but you'll quickly see that I just felt it looked a bit weird. I did keep some of them, like 2, but for the most part, I just covered up those weird highlight things. I'm trying things, I'm seeing what works. And then I'm using my dark green and just kind of coloring half of some of these larger leaves, going in with that mintier light green and coloring in the other half. So I'm getting some nice dimension and using all my greens. But for the most part, oranges are orange, leaves are green, and I'm going to do the orange blossoms using just a bit of that beige and gray. And the dark green leaves sort of sitting in behind them will really help those white flowers to pop off the page. So let's just color this in. Remember, if you're wondering about marker colors, I give all of that information on my blog. The blog is also a great place to find supply links, especially if the Amazon links that we use in the description aren't working in your particular country. And we give still photos of the artwork on the blog. So if you need to see this just still without any movement, you're like, please stop the video, I need to see the art, then head to the blog, shaydacampbell.com/blog. All right, this is looking good. Obviously the leaves and oranges are colored in. I'm gonna get rid of some of my pencil marks on those delicate orange blossoms. I'm using my beige color to just do some dotting at the center of each flower. Then I use my gray and I kind of do a bit of shading. So some little lines on the inside of the petals near the stamen. You know, just keep it simple. You don't wanna add a lot of gray. You want the flowers to look white. Then what we're gonna do is take our black liner. This is the 04 nib, so I am using my Moloto black liners, but any fine liner that you have is totally fine. I love the Sakura Pigma microns as well. And the 04 nib has good weight to it, so I'm using it to go around the M. And then what I think I'll do is switch to a slightly smaller fine liner, something like an 02, and I'll use that to go around the rest of the illustration, because you know I love to add a sketchy black line. And this also gives me the chance to add some detail, like a little bit of line shading on some of those flowers and maybe a few extra lines on some of the leaves to indicate veining. So grab a fine liner, and if you want to, you can add a sketchy black line to your illustration. And I'd like to take a second to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. They have thousands of inspiring classes for curious and creative people on topics like photography, design, watercolor painting, and so much more. Most Skillshare classes include a combination of video lessons and a class project, and Skillshare is more affordable than most learning platforms out there. An annual membership is less than $10 a month. And right now, the first 1,000 people to use the link in my video description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. Okay, let's go over our calendar and month title. This is when having a couple different fine liners really comes in handy. Remember, those numbers on the side refer to the nib size. So something like an 01 is perfect for doing those little numbers, while an 02 or 03 is better for the word March and the Sunday through Saturday. All right, that looks good. Now it's time to simply cut out our Dutch door. I just place a cutting mat underneath that one page, take a ruler and a paper knife, and cut along the areas where you do have straight edges. That's always my first bit, and then I just carefully kind of go around the rest of the illustration. And voila, a fun orange and orange blossom themed Dutch door for our March cover page. And friends, just a reminder that you can print my cover page over on Patreon. All the bonus content starts at $2 a month, so check it out after the video. So typically what I'll do on the page beneath the Dutch door cover is add a kind of a month at a glance where I'll put goals or a to-do list or affirmations. And normally all I do is, write down those things and maybe do a small illustration. This month I am switching it up and I'm going to put a full pattern across the entire page. I think it's going to complement the orange blossoms really well. So it's a really simple pattern. It's just this one gray leaf design. All of them are a little bit different, but also very much the same. And I think it looks so pretty with the orange and the green to add that gray. Now we've got a Dutch door plus some pattern. And for anyone who's been craving some color and pattern up in these Shayda Campbell videos, here you go. I'm doing it. I'm getting out of my comfort zone. Then, of course, because we did this pattern page, we are going to simply add a bit of ripped paper. Could be any color. I'm using craft paper. I glued that in. It's just a little bit of ripped paper, like a simple rectangle, and I'm writing my goals and to-do list on there. So that gives us a nice kind of border. The pattern borders the to-do list really nicely. I'll add a little bit of washi tape maybe as well, but I do like to glue it in. And yeah, I think that looks so good. It's just, it's a lot, but it's not too much. And then I kind of thought it looked a bit dull, just the gray with the brown. All I had was craft paper, so it was a bit neutral. So I decided, why not take some scrap paper, draw a few flowers in the same color palette that I used on the cover page. So using my cinnamon peach color and some of these dark and minty greens. And I'm just doing a really simple little floral illustration. Then what I'm going to do is cut that out and we'll kind of place it just to add some color to this page. So it'll almost look like a little homemade sticker. I think that's so cute. And then I also illustrated some little roses, and that way I've ordered my goals and to-do list. I've added some color and more pattern to this page, and I'm quite happy with it. So I hope you'll give that a try. You can use any paper to do those little handmade stickers, stickers that we had to glue in. So there is our Dutch door all done. Let's move on to our calendar page. I've blocked my calendar out in pencil. I'm grabbing my 03 fine liner, fairly precise nib with still a bit of weight to it, and I'm going to pull that pen towards my body in order to give me straight lines, like fairly straight lines, and I don't have to use my most dreaded tool, the ruler. I'll do the same thing for the page on the left. I'm doing like a really nice hand-drawn simple border over there. And can you see my mistake? Can you see it? I put all the numbers on the first row of the calendar on the left, all the rest are on the right. Sometimes when you make a mistake, it's just better to keep going and not dwell on it. You know, I'm not gonna rip a page out because of that. If I don't change anything, it's like, whatever, it looks fine. And then here on the left-hand page, I am doing a really simple illustration. I'm not going to bore you with any details because it's basically taken from the same, forms and color palette that we used on our cover. But I will say this really succeeds in its simplicity. So there's lots of negative space. There's a really small illustration with a hand-drawn border that's just a simple line. I'm of course adding my sketchy black lines using that same fine liner. And just keep it really simple, and I think that looks so sophisticated. So let your illustration breathe. Give yourself a little extra page there. Not all of the pages need to be filled in. White space can be such a good thing in a journal. I'm going to bring some of my color over to the right. I'm using that beigey ivory to simply add some lines there where I'll list important dates, color in the Sunday to Saturday area, so that way one side of the page isn't colorful and the other black and white. It's a nice cohesive spread. I'm also just blocking out in pencil like where I want to put important dates, and you saw I kind of tried a few spots, so always do stuff in pencil first, see if you like it, and then go over it with your fine liner. And that's our calendar page all done. She looks good, she looks sophisticated. Okay, this weekly layout for March is something I've never done before, but it is simple and it is fun to draw. So it starts with just these 4 rectangles. If you're working in an Archer and Olive notebook, mine are 11 squares each. I've left a large margin on the outer edges, and then I'm marking where the center is to create 8 squares instead of 4 rectangles, or 8 rectangles. I'm also writing in the days of the week, and then I made a mistake. I actually want the bottom and top of those rectangles for an illustration area. So I'm moving down my days of the week. Remember, pencil, so key. Don't do it in pen first. And then I'm going to work in basically the same color palette. I'm adding a little more pink and peach and sticking with my nice minty greens. So, but we're not going to do oranges because that's getting a bit tired. It's like, do something new, but stay in the same color palette. Why don't you? Shayda. So I am using those colors and just doing my favorite florals. Simple florals like 4 and 5 petal flowers, maybe a few round spirals that can be roses and rosebuds. Layering marker color can really help to make these simple forms, these rather easy to draw flowers, look quite intricate and pretty. So having a couple markers at your disposal that are similar shades can be really nice. And I just love the way that this minty green is looking with that cinnamon peach color. It's just a really nice combo. Remember, colors of markers are listed on the blog, so head over there. And then everything really pops when you add that really dark green. All those light flowers all of a sudden are jumping off the page. So I've begun with my flowers, then I'm tucking all these different leaves sort of around them to create a nice burst. And then I finish the illustration with just some smaller leaves and maybe a couple small buds. I did one side first just to make sure I liked it, I guess, I don't know. And then I continued this sort of garland of flowers and leaves on the right-hand side of the page. I'm really pleased with the way this is looking. You know, so many of my illustrations are actually quite simple, and they're successful, I think, because they have a thoughtful color palette. So always try your colors ahead of time. And just a question for you. Are you finding that you're still journaling post-COVID? Did COVID kind of slow down your bullet journaling, or did it actually give you the time to initiate this hobby? I'd love to hear. I think for me, I went through a period last year where I was kind of like, ugh, bullet journaling, who needs it? All I do is watch Netflix. But this year, I've really found my way back to it. And in the fall as well, I was quite into it, but I would love to know. So comment below, has COVID affected how you journal, or if you journal at all? I went over everything in pen, and of course, since there's 8 squares and only 7 days of the week, you've got an area for notes or a to-do list or whatever. Oh yeah, I really like this weekly layout. I've seen stuff like this on Pinterest and always wanted to try it. You can use that middle bar for anything, put any sort of illustration there. And then I just wanted to list, like, what week is this? And here you're gonna see me make another mistake. We're filming this so early in the month. I was like, oh my God, I just wrote February. So a little washi tape goes a long way towards fixing those little oopsie mistakes. And it basically gives the same effect as well, where I've got a nice color swatch with the date. So weekly layout done. That reminded me, I just want to add a little extra color to our cover page. I meant to just add a little bit more warm gray to the letter and to the days of the week. So everything's coming together. Our orange blossom theme is looking good. And next up, we're doing a mood tracker. So for my mood tracker, we designed this circle. March annoyingly has 31 days, very hard to make it even. You'll be able to print my mood tracker on Patreon. So if you are a supporter of the channel, you can grab that. I'll talk more about it later, but I'm transferring it into my notebook the same way I transferred that M at the start of the video. Using a bit of graphite on the back of the paper is just a great way to transfer shapes and letters that you want to get right. Let's grab a fine liner. I think I'm using the O2 nib, and we're just gonna carefully, as we can, go around this very perfect circle and try to keep it somewhat looking good. What you see me doing is rotating the book so that I'm always kind of pulling the pen in a motion that feels really natural to me, and that's gonna help me get a shape that at least isn't too wonky or crooked. But for the most part, at least all the little squares are the right size and even, and I've got my mood tracker written in the gap there. Of course, I'm just gonna sketch some orange blossoms because I'm basic like that and I don't feel like switching my color palette now. And all I've done here is grouped 2 oranges, you know, put a little flower where they meet, add a stem and a couple leaves and maybe one more flower, and the illustration can be as simple as that. And of course, stick within your known color palette using those greens, the peach, and the gray and beige for the flowers. And then I'm using, I think this is the 03 fine liner, and I'm just going over everything. Let me know in the comments as well. Do you like to add that sketchy black line, or do you like your colored illustrations to just kind of stand on their own? not needed. Black line, yay or nay. When that's done, I used one of my Tombow brush pens to just write the month of March at the top, and then I kind of thickened up the letters a little to give them that extra weight, little extra chunk, and that makes it really easy to go in with a fine liner like an 01, really nice fine nib, and just add a shadow. And I'm just pretty much adding mine on the left-hand side of each the right-hand side of each portion of letter. Down at the bottom of the page, anyway, I am putting a couple swatches of color, and these will be the markers that I use through the month for my mood tracker. And I'm making a key. So mine is very pregnancy focused. I'm tracking things like, am I happy? Am I energized? Am I tired? Am I exhausted? Am I like completely put out? I thought actually I was going to start with 4, then I wanted to do 6 different options. I wanted to also list if I was anxious or just kind of chill and blah. And then I put marker and did fine liner right on top, and it bled. So here's what I do when that happens. I'll just cut a little piece of paper from the back of the journal, fix it up, glue it in, no worries, and that's that. And then I'll wait for that to dry this time. So let's take a look at our March layout. We had so much fun with this pattern on colorful Dutch door. I really love the way this turned out with the flowers and the oranges. We have a fun, simple calendar with lots of negative space. We've got a mood tracker that is going to help me track how I'm feeling within my pregnancy. But of course, your key can kind of, be tailored towards you. I'll just put my last option in there, and then flip over, and we've got a really beautiful and simple weekly layout. Thank you guys so much for watching. Head over to Patreon to print your cover page, and patrons, you can also print the mood tracker. So all the bonus content starts at $2 a month. The mood tracker, you can color in with some of these same colors. If you're looking for marker colors, head to the blog. Thanks for watching. I will see you soon with a new tutorial, and thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. With Skillshare, you can learn so many creative arts, and here's a class I thought you would be interested in. It's called Watercolor Illustration, Transform Daily Objects into Whimsical Creatures. It's taught by artist Helen Baum, and I think you can see from the class projects, it's just a really creative, interesting take on illustration and watercolor, and it's quite a lengthy course as well, so it goes through a lot of basics, and then of course you get into the illustration portion. Remember, you can get Skillshare for as little as $10 a month, and the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership so you can explore your creativity.